My sister, Angelina, 32F, requested me to act as her surrogate, then fabricated an application. Now she's pregnant. However, the revelation of the shocking truth has altered everything. I never anticipated sharing this on Reddit, but life has a way of surprising you. I am Sarah, 28F, and my life was turned upside down approximately 6 months ago. It all started when my sister, Angelina, disclosed her pregnancy. Angelina and I have always had a difficult connection. We grew up 4 years apart, so we were never in the same stage of life at the same time. Angelina was always the ideal child, all A's, leader of the debate team, and first chair violin in the school orchestra. In contrast, I was a more freely spirited individual. I fared well in school, but I was more interested in computers and programming. Our parents, particularly our mother, always seemed to prefer Angelina. They would attend all of her recitals and debates, but they were sometimes unable to attend my coding competitions. This caused a schism between us that only widened as we grew older. When Angelina met 34M in college, it appeared that her ideal life was complete. They married shortly after college, and everyone expected them to start a family immediately. However, years passed without a child. Angelina never spoke much about it, but I could see it troubled her. Meanwhile, I focused on my career, becoming a software developer, securing a great job at a tech firm, and purchasing my own apartment. I was content with my life, even though it was not the path my parents had envisioned for me. So when Angelina announced her pregnancy, I was overjoyed for her. I hoped that this would finally bring us closer as sisters, but then Angelina dropped the bombshell. I was going to be the surrogate mother, not asked but told. I was shocked. Angelina and I were not close enough for her to believe I would do something like this. We only communicated once a month, and it was generally simply to catch up on the basics. So for her to simply believe I'd carry her baby was mind-boggling. When I tried to tell her I was uncomfortable with the notion, she dismissed it. Sarah dismissed my concerns, asserting that my uterus was not in use at the moment. I was taken aback by her statement. Not using my uterus. Was she serious? I attempted to convey the gravity of becoming a surrogate, which would affect my body, employment, and life for at least 9 months. However, Angelina remained unswayed, emphasizing their long struggle to conceive and their belief that this was their last chance. She accused me of selfishness for refusing to assist them. The situation deteriorated when our parents, Mom, 56F, and Dad, 58M, sided with Angelina. They began calling me daily, emphasizing the importance of family and suggesting that I should be willing to do anything for my sister. Dad even went as far as to say, "Sarah, this is your chance to finally do something meaningful with your life. I have a fantastic career, my own house, and a life I'm proud of, but none of that matters now since I refuse to be an incubator for my sister." It felt like I was back in high school, constantly compared to Angelina, and left feeling inadequate. The pressure continued to mount. Angelina began informing her extended family and acquaintances about her sister, who would serve as her surrogate. She even mentioned it on Facebook before I committed to anything. I suddenly began receiving letters from relatives, uncles, and cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, all congratulating me for my selflessness. I attempted to correct the record, but Angelina had already spun her story. Anyone I told the truth to either didn't believe me or thought I was overly theatrical. "It's just 9 months," they'd say. "Don't you want your sister to be happy?" But it was more than just 9 months, it was my body, profession, and life. I had recently been promoted to lead developer on a significant project at work. How was I meant to handle it while pregnant? What about the health hazards and possible long-term repercussions on my body? Nobody appeared to care about any of this. The final straw came at a family dinner, where Angelina had asked everyone to celebrate her impending surrogacy. Despite my reservations, she insisted it was a done deal. As we sat around the table, she began discussing her nursery ideas and her excitement for me to start hormone therapy. I could not handle it any longer. I stood up and told them the truth. I stated that I had never consented to be a surrogate, that Angelina had lied to everyone, and that I was tired of being bullied and guilt into doing something I did not want to do. The room fell silent. Then all hell broke loose. Angelina burst into tears, claiming that I was ruining her only chance at parenthood. My parents began yelling at me, calling me selfish and heartless. Tom merely sat there, looking uncomfortable. Leaving the dinner, I felt conflicted. Was I the antagonist? Was my refusal to dedicate 9 months of my life and body selfish? I didn't believe so, but my family seemed to hold a different perspective. Since that night, our relationship has become strained. Angelina has stopped speaking to me. My parents have been sending guilt-inducing voicemail messages, and even some of my friends have been strange about it, saying things like, well, if it was my sister, I'd do it. I'm standing my ground, but it's tough. I feel like I'm losing my family over this, but I also can't believe they're putting so much pressure on me. It's my body, so I get to choose, right? The whole issue has brought back a lot of childhood memories. The continual comparison to Angelina, the sensation that nothing I do is ever good enough for my parents. I thought I'd moved on from that, but the surrogacy turmoil has brought it all back to the surface. I attempted to engage Angelina in a one-on-one conversation to convey my perspective, but she steadfastly refused to listen. She persistently claims that I have always been selfish and have never cared about anyone but myself. It appears as though she is attempting to rewrite our entire history to fit a narrative in which I am portrayed as the villain. Tom's silence on this matter has been perplexing. When I attempted to discuss it with him, he dismissed my concerns by stating that it was a matter between Angelina and myself. However, shouldn't he have a say in who carries his child? His disengagement has raised my suspicions, yet I am unable to pinpoint the exact reason. I am at a loss for what to do. On one hand, I am tempted to acquiesce to end the conflict, but I recognize that this is not the appropriate motivation for becoming a surrogate. On the other hand, I am contemplating severing all ties and starting anew elsewhere. I have been considering transferring to my company's office in another city to escape the situation. However, is fleeing truly the solution? What if Angelina attempts to pursue surrogacy with another individual? Should I alert them? I am writing this to gauge whether I am overreacting. Is it wrong for me to refuse to act as my sister's surrogate? How can I navigate this situation without completely severing ties with my family? Any guidance would be greatly appreciated, as I currently feel overwhelmed by family conflicts with no apparent resolution. Update: 3 weeks have passed since my last article, and the situation has become even more complex. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to everyone who left comments on my initial post. Your encouragement and guidance have made me feel less overwhelmed by the entire situation. I have taken your advice to heart and have decided to stand my ground. I have informed my family that I will not be a surrogate, regardless of their persistent persuasion. For a period, the situation was excessively tranquil. Last week, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. Upon answering, a woman identified as representing a surrogacy agency commenced the conversation by informing me that they had received my application and were eager to proceed with the process. Initially, I was perplexed, then terrified upon realizing the extent of the situation. Angelina had filed a surrogacy application in my name, using my personal information, forging my signature, and submitting medical records obtained in some manner. I was enraged. This was not merely a breach of boundaries. It was identity theft. I promptly contacted the agency and informed them of the situation. They were understanding, but advised me to file a police report to safeguard myself. I was conflicted about filing a police report, as it could potentially expose Angelina to significant legal jeopardy, especially considering she had committed an illegal act and severely violated my privacy. I recalled instances from our youth when Angelina had escaped consequences, such as when she broke my mother's favorite vase and blamed it on me, or when she stole my car in college and was involved in an accident. After much contemplation, I decided to submit the report. It was not an easy decision, but I felt compelled to protect myself. What if Angelina did something like this again? The repercussions were swift and severe. Angelina called me, accusing me of attempting to ruin her life. My parents were outraged, claiming that I was tearing the family apart. Even Tom, who had remained silent throughout the episode, left me a furious voicemail. However, the situation becomes even more complex. As previously mentioned, Angelina and Tom had been attempting to conceive for several years. There is a reason behind this. A mutual acquaintance informed me about the police report, revealing that Tom had undergone a vasectomy prior to his relationship with Angelina. This revelation was impactful for me, not only because it exposed Angelina's deception regarding their fertility struggles, but also because it brought to mind an earlier conversation between Angelina and Tom. During a family cookout, I overheard them discussing their views on having children. Tom expressed his reluctance to have children, and Angelina echoed his sentiments, indicating her uncertainty about motherhood. At the time, I did not attach much significance to this conversation, but now it seems particularly relevant. Tom had clearly stated his lack of desire for children when they first began dating, and Angelina had agreed with him. However, as time passed, Angelina's desire for a child grew stronger. She began to pressure Tom, eventually leading him to consider adoption or surrogacy to satisfy her. This revelation prompted me to question Angelina's motivations. Why was she so insistent on having a baby when she had previously been content without children? And why resort to deception to make me a surrogate when adoption or finding a willing surrogate through conventional means were viable options? I was uncertain about how to proceed with this information. On one hand, I considered confronting Angelina and exposing her lies, but on the other, I felt empathy for her. Was her desperation for a baby so profound that she would engage in such deceit? Ultimately, I decided to speak with Tom. I met him for coffee and shared everything, including Angelina's lies, the surrogacy push, and what a mutual acquaintance had told me. Tom was shocked. He admitted that he had agreed to Angelina's surrogacy plan because he felt it would make her happy, but he was unaware of the extent of her deception. As we talked, Tom opened up about his own marital troubles. He admitted that he and Angelina had been having troubles for years, primarily due to their disagreement about having children. He stated he had pondered leaving several times, but stayed because he loved Angelina and hoped she would change her mind about having children. Tom appeared visibly shocked as he left our meeting. I felt terrible for him, but also relieved that the truth had finally been revealed. I wondered whether this would be the catalyst that prompted him to confront Angelina and potentially end their marriage. Regarding Angelina and my parents, I am still uncertain about how to proceed. The police are investigating the identity theft, and I am concerned about Angelina's future. Despite everything, she remains my sister. I often recall our youth, the times when we genuinely got along, like the summer we spent at our grandparents' farm, staying up late to watch meteor showers and collecting fireflies in jars. It is challenging to reconcile those memories with who Angelina has become. My parents continue to refuse to communicate with me, convinced that I am fabricating the situation to avoid being a surrogate. It is painful, but I am striving to remain resilient. I have started seeing a therapist to help me manage the stress and complex emotions that this situation has elicited. I am seriously contemplating moving out of state for a period to escape the turmoil. My employer has an office in another city, and I am considering requesting a transfer. The idea of a new beginning is tempting, yet I am apprehensive about fleeing from my problems. That is where I am at the moment. My family is in a state of disarray. My sister may be facing legal issues, and I am contemplating starting anew in a different city. I did not anticipate being in this situation a month ago, but that is life. I will keep everyone informed about the developments. Thank you once again for your support, which is more significant than you realize. Update 2. 2 months have passed since my last update, and just as I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, life has thrown me another unexpected challenge. First, let me update you on recent developments. Angelina was charged with fraud following the identity theft incident, which was a misdemeanor. She was required to pay a fine and complete community service. Tom filed for divorce, unable to reconcile with Angelina's falsehoods about her desire for children and the entire surrogacy fiasco. I did, in fact, accept that transfer. I've been living in a different place for the past month, attempting to rebuild my life away from all of the family pain. It's been challenging but also refreshing. I've made some new acquaintances, put myself into work, and even begun seeing a therapist to deal with the stress of the last several months. However, the narrative took an unexpected turn when my mother called me last week. My parents had not spoken to me since the police report, so I was surprised to hear from her. I almost did not respond, but something told me I should. When I answered, my mother was in tears. She managed to tell me about Angelina's pregnancy despite her cries. Naturally, I was perplexed. How could Angelina be pregnant if Tom had a vasectomy and they were getting divorced? Well, it turns out that the baby is not Tom's. It isn't even biologically Angelina's. My mother eventually revealed the truth. Angelina had been lying about everything since the beginning. Angelina is not infertile. She never has been. The entire story of the surrogate pregnancy was a fabrication. She sought me out as a surrogate because she was unwilling to undergo pregnancy. Angelina has always harbored a deep fear of pregnancy and childbirth, a fear that stems from a traumatic experience she endured as a teenager. I was unaware of this when Angelina was 16. She witnessed our cousin's difficult pregnancy and near-fatal birth, which left a lasting impression on her, instilling a strong fear of pregnancy. Despite her fear, Angelina had always desired to have a child. However, when Tom informed her that he did not wish to have children, she saw it as an opportunity to play the role of the needy, infertile wife and coerce someone else into carrying a baby for her. But when her plan with me fell through, she panicked. She began seeing this person behind Tom's back. Let us call him Mike. Mike got her pregnant, and Angelina is suddenly confronted with the same situation she was attempting to avoid. I was speechless, overwhelmed by the family's drama and pain, stemming from Angelina's fear of pregnancy. It seemed too absurd to be true, but as my mother spoke, more truths emerged. My parents acknowledged that they had been aware of Angelina's pregnancy fear for many years. They agreed to her surrogacy idea, believing it would help her overcome her fear. They never considered the impact on me or the ethical implications of coercing someone into surrogacy. I felt a mix of emotions: anger at the deception, relief that the truth had been revealed, and a strange sense of vindication after months of being labeled selfish and callous. It turned out that I was correct all along. My mother spent a considerable amount of time apologizing. She and my father acknowledged their mistakes and the unfair treatment they had inflicted upon me. They inquired if I could forgive them. I informed her that I needed time to process the situation. The realization that my entire family had been lying to me for months, if not years, was difficult to process. I replied that I'd think about it and get back to her. Angelina's situation appears to be a hot mess. The pregnancy she worked so hard to avoid has become a reality. Tom refuses to take her back, and Mike wants nothing to do with the baby. She is alone, afraid, and finally confronting the repercussions of her choices. A part of me feels sad for her, but another is still outraged at all the agony she has caused. I'm not sure whether I'll ever be able to have a connection with her again, but I'm trying to find faith in my heart that she'll get the care she needs. So that's where things are now. The intricate web of lies within my family has finally been exposed, leaving us all to face the repercussions. I am still processing everything and trying to determine my next steps. The future is uncertain, but I am grateful for my stance. One lesson I have learned from this experience is the importance of trusting your instincts, even when others advise against it. The entire event has prompted me to reflect on our family dynamics. Growing up, Angelina was always the golden child, while I was the black sheep. Now it appears that those roles have been reversed. It's an unusual sensation, and I'm not sure how to manage it. I've talked to my therapist about it all. She's guiding me through my feelings of betrayal and rage. It's a slow process, but I'm starting to see results regarding my job. The change has been a blessing. I'm working on an intriguing new project that keeps me occupied and diverted from the family drama. My new colleagues are wonderful, and I am slowly beginning to feel like I belong here. I am still uncertain about how to proceed with my family. On one hand, I desire to forgive them and attempt to restore our relationship. On the other hand, I am apprehensive about being hurt again. I have considered the numerous instances where I have forgiven them only to witness their return to their previous behaviors. For now, I am taking each day as it comes. I have informed my parents that I require space, and they have shown surprising understanding. Angelina has attempted to contact me several times, but I am not prepared to engage in conversation with her at this time. I will keep you informed of any significant developments, but for the moment, my focus is on healing and moving forward with my life. Thank you for your unwavering support throughout this tumultuous journey. Update 3. It has been 6 months since my last update, and I believe it is appropriate to share where things are now. A lot has changed, and while not everything is perfect, I believe I am now in a decent place. The major news is that Angelina gave birth to a little girl approximately 2 months ago. Despite her anxieties, the pregnancy and birth went well. According to what I've heard, she is adjusting to motherhood better than anyone expected. It appears that the reality of having a child has shifted her perspective on many issues. I wasn't present at the birth, but my parents kept me updated. They sent me images of the baby, and I must admit, she's lovely. It's weird to believe I have a niece now, especially with everything that has transpired. My relationship with my family has been challenging. After careful reflection, I decided to extend an opportunity for reconciliation to my parents. We have engaged in numerous lengthy and difficult discussions about trust, respect, and boundaries. They have apologized multiple times and seem to genuinely understand the severity of their actions. We are slowly rebuilding our relationship, but it is not the same as before. I am more cautious and protective now, but I am also proud of myself for setting and maintaining clear boundaries. My parents now understand that if they attempt to manipulate or pressure me again, I will not hesitate to sever all ties. My relationship with Angelina remains strained. Despite seeing her and the infant on several occasions, always accompanied by other family members, the encounters are awkward and stressful. However, we maintain a level of respect for each other. Angelina has expressed remorse for her actions, but I am not yet prepared to forgive her. The loss of confidence was significant, and it will take a considerable amount of time to recover, if at all. Angelina, a single mother, is facing challenges, but is receiving support from her parents and undergoing treatment to address her concerns and difficulties. She has even established a support group for women suffering from the fear of pregnancy and childbirth. It is heartening to see her take proactive steps to address her issues, although it may be too late to reverse the damage she has caused. Personally, I am thriving. I have chosen to remain in a new city and have built a fulfilling life here. My career is progressing well, and I have formed meaningful friendships. I have also started dating someone. Although it is still early, it feels good to be moving forward. The entire surrogacy drama now feels like a distant nightmare. Reflecting on it, I am astonished by the absurdity of the situation, yet I am grateful for the experience. It has taught me the importance of standing up for myself, setting boundaries, and refusing to compromise my values, even when it is difficult. I have also gained a deeper understanding of forgiveness, both in offering and receiving it. While it is not an easy process and it won't happen overnight, it is achievable. I'm still working on forgiving Angelina, but I have realized that harboring resentment only leads to long-term harm. My therapist has been instrumental in guiding me through this process. We have begun to explore how my childhood experiences have shaped my relationships with my family. It has been enlightening to recognize how many of our current issues stem from long-standing patterns. One of the most challenging aspects has been learning to accept my parents and Angelina as flawed individuals rather than the larger-than-life figures they were during my upbringing. It is a process, but I am making progress. I have also been working on building a support system outside of my family. My new friends here have been incredibly supportive, offering understanding and support without judgment. This realization has made me aware of the importance of prioritizing my own well-being and relationships beyond my family. That is where things stand right now. My family is gradually recovering, but we will never be the same. I am creating a life that I enjoy on my own terms and am content with my choices. To those in a similar situation, I urge you to remain steadfast, trust your instincts, and resist any pressure to conform to others' expectations, even from family members. Always make decisions about your body with confidence. I am grateful for your ongoing support throughout this journey. Your advice and encouragement have been invaluable to me. I am not certain if I will update again, but I want to assure you that I am doing well, better than fine.